Hi, so this is the second video in my series on using Claude Code and just general AI tooling to perform Salesforce administrative tasks and development tasks. The first video we made a car object, and the car had a few fields on it. I'll actually pull it up right here. It has acquired date, color, dealership, list price, etc. We made some validation rules and various other metadata for that car object. Today is a follow-up video building off of the first one. So I'm just going to give a quick rundown. This is a mix of programmatic and declarative development. We're going to add a button onto the car record page that retrieves NHTSA safety information and saves it to the record. So I found this free API that the government provides in the United States for retrieving safety information based off of either a VIN or the make, model, and year of a car. So we're going to be using that. We're going to use some invocable Apex and a screen flow to retrieve that information and then save it to the record. And there's just some high-level information here, but the goal is to retrieve safety information for a car given the make, model, year, and VIN. So I'm just going to tell Claude to start building the metadata as described in this user story. And I'm going to do the same thing I did in the previous video, just kind of talk through what Claude's doing. It basically mirrors what you'd be doing as a developer or admin. It's first trying to understand the car object, so you can see it's pulling in these fields, listing them out, trying to get some context. Looks like it's pulling in some other. I use this Salesforce project, or not Salesforce project, this like local project for a couple things. So I have some other stuff in here, but it should be able to differentiate that. Like this was, I was doing some object-oriented stuff, and it can figure that out for itself. I don't need to say anything. So we've got a list of to-dos to accomplish. This is the field we're going to save the data to that was retrieved from the API. I'm going to give it access to edit. So it's writing to this field, gives it a nice description, some help text, and yeah, generally pretty nice. I like that it gave it 10 visible lines since API response could be lengthy. It's nice that it's displayed there for us. Let's see what it's up to. It's creating the Apex class right now. Like I said in the last video, like a company would charge you a lot of money for what Claude is generating for us. Like something like this with like even a simple integration could be quite expensive. I mean, this also relies on like, if you have the know-how, it might not be that bad, but developer still has to read documentation. Like I can take us to this link. I'll just check in on Claude. I finished the class. Cool. Let's actually just make sure. Sometimes it does wacky stuff. Like I've had it write like multiple invocable methods in one class, which is not allowed. So let's check this lookup field. It looks like it gets the vehicle ID using the model, year, make, and model. It takes the response from this, the vehicle ID, and passes it into this other call to get the ratings. And looks like it grabs a vehicle description and then formats it for the text field, which is nice. Cool. And Claude does weird stuff sometimes, but like this generally looks fine. But you do want to spot check the code. If you don't understand it, I would find a developer or even just ask Claude to explain what's going on. Like, I'm not going to stop it right now because it's building the flow for us. But yeah, like this looks fine to me. If a developer asked me to approve this, I would probably say yes. I don't know what this like has rating is. What is that? I guess sometimes this API might not return a rating. I didn't read the documentation, but I'm assuming the flow is going to do something like if there's no rating. What I probably would have done is just check the flow output and see if description is empty or not. or maybe you just get a description back from the API that says like no safety information based on the provided configuration. So, but this is fine. I assume it's going to have a decision and check it. All right, cool. So we're like 6 minutes in and it's done. Now it might not deploy the first time, but we'll see in a moment. Okay, cool. So it's given us a rundown of what it made. It gave us the safety information long text area field. We've got our Apex class. It wrote a test class, which is nice. Just take a peek at that. I'm actually going to tell it to, there's a new assert namespace. I guess whatever Claude was referencing was using the old system.assert, but I don't know why I said namespace. I'll just say use the assert type. Update the test class to use the assert type. And let me see what else we got. Okay, it made the remote site setting to make the call to the API. Oh, cool. It updated all of our system.asserts to assert the assert class. That's nice. It gave us our flow, quick action, and permission set. So it all seems cool. It's telling us also we don't have a car page layout or flexi page. Sometimes Claude has trouble with stuff like this. We can give it a shot. Yeah, I'll just ask it. For the sake of time in this video, I might not. I've had trouble with it editing flexi pages before. It's pretty good at flow syntax, but sometimes the flexi pages it struggles. Deploy everything. So I'm going to tell it to deploy everything. It's going to use the command line interface to deploy everything. Looks like it's checking to see what org I'm connected to, like it did in our last video. I'm just going to give it allow for these commands. It looks like it's trying to get the org ID for this JS maintenance org that I'm working out of. Looks like I got it. What else we got? Okay, so it's connected and it's deploying the components. So it looks like it's, yeah, SF project deploy start. That's the CLI command to deploy metadata, and then it just lists the path in our directory to each of the files. So this all looks cool. I'm gonna say allow just one time. You do want to spot check the bash commands. I can't remember. I think I said this for the Apex, but if you're unsure of something, look it up. Like, you can learn these commands pretty quickly. Oh, it looks like it nested inner types. Okay. So it's fixing that for us. That's cool. That works. Let's just see what the errors were, just out of curiosity. Okay. Oh, nice. Looks like everything else deployed fine. Except the, well, perhaps not. It says 6 out of 10. I suppose we'll see. All right, so I'm going to let it deploy these again. Fixing the tests for us. Cool. And then it's going to run our test to make sure the test passes. And just out of curiosity, let's check what's in the test. Okay, so everything deployed. I do want to check the test and see what's in there, because that would be a smart thing to do. So it looks like it's testing each of the individual APIs we're calling. There's just 2 of them. Looks like it loads up a sample body in this build request method. So it's calling, and then and then where's the mock it's using? NHTSA mock, and the mock mode is rated. And you can actually just do control and click. I don't know why I was searching for this. And then checking for the mock mode, if it's server error. So it's not server error, so it's just returning this mock for us. So that looks cool. I won't go through all this just for the sake of time, but it's just testing a mock. There isn't really any business logic here. Like, I suppose the only real test it's doing is the error. So if we pass an error, then it's going to return this 500 status code, and we should get an error. But yeah, this is kind of a silly thing that Salesforce makes you do. Like, I think it's good to have test coverage, but for things like this where we're just testing a call out, not super helpful. There's no business logic in here, but regardless, we'll continue. So everything is built. I'm going to ask it to actually no, we decided we're not doing the flexi page. It just struggles with flexi pages, especially like if they're already made, it can do it, but this is net new, and I think it might have a hard time. So we're going to open our org. I'm actually going to ask it to insert a test record, insert a test car record with valid data. So I'll let it go off and do that. In the meantime, I'll pull up the cars tab and we can refresh it in a moment. So it is looking for, what is this doing? It's trying to pull validation rules and fields, I suppose. So it wants to get these other properties to know like what fields are required and what it needs. Oh, and it actually tells you. I guess I should have just read that. So it's looking at the metadata to see what fields it needs to populate and what constraints exist. Looks like it's filling in some sample pick list values for us. And what field is this? What am I looking at? Oh, okay. It wants to insert a record. It looks like it's trying to grab an account. If there isn't an account, it looks like it's going to insert one and then insert the car record. And this is a really long command, but it appears to be running an anonymous Apex script. Yeah. So we're going to say yes. Let it go ahead and do that for us. All right, cool. So it created a test account in the car. Let's just open this link. Cool. I'm going to edit the page, and we're going to upgrade it to use dynamic actions. So I'll just say, we'll just start from scratch because I don't want to pull in all the millions of fields over there. So here's our get safety information. Quick action, I'm going to save. I don't want to show this message again. We're going to activate it. I'll set it as the org default for desktop and phone, and we'll save. And again, I'm just doing that because sometimes this thing struggles with writing that XML for the flexi page. Okay, cool. So it looks like it saved it to the car record. Cool. I forgot to tell it to put that on the page layout. I'm just going to be lazy. Retrieve the car flexi page. Actually, I'll just say add the new safety info field. So you kind of don't really have to do really any clicks. It's going to pull the car layouts for us with that. Like I was saying, you don't really need to really configure that much. Like it wants to retrieve the metadata for the car layout from the org so it can modify and deploy it. So that's cool. But yeah, perhaps it would have been faster to do it from the layout, but I just want to show that you can do this. You can do this pretty easily with Claude. And cool. So it added the field. Wants to deploy it. I'm going to say yes. Sweet. So it deployed. We can go back now. Sometimes Salesforce caches stuff like that. Yeah, I think it might be cached. So what you can do is if you inspect and then you empty cache and reload, you can clear the cache and pull fresh metadata or the fresh layout. So it should show up here in a moment. As soon as the layout loads, and it's not on the layout. Let's double check. I wonder if it gave us access to the field. Car layout. It says we just modified it at 9:03. Safety. Safety information is in a separate section at the bottom, but I don't see that section. Sometimes you need to like log out. Like Salesforce caching can be real weird. I'm just gonna log out and then I'll log back in with the bad boy. Alright, we'll go back to our cars. Cool. So here's all the data we got from the API for 2022 Honda Civic. This is all data retrieved from that API, and yeah, let's actually just go take a quick look at the flow. I think it should be called something like safety or something. Yeah, car safety lookup. And Claude built all this for us, so like, pretty crazy stuff. You can see it's retrieved the car record based on the record ID. You can see our invocable Apex we wrote, where we pass in the make, model, and year from the car. It might have made more sense just to pass in like just the whole object, but this is how it decided to do it, and I think it's fine. It's checking that has rating boolean we saw earlier, so this is what I suspected it was going to use it for. It could have just checked if there was any output, but I suppose because this action is returning like so many values, like, yeah, let's click delete. Because there's multiple outputs, I guess it decided to do the boolean to indicate if there's any information. I would have just checked if the text was empty or not, but yeah. And then it updates it, so we update the car, we set the rating, the safety information field, and update it. So pretty crazy. Like I said in the last video, this is work that probably most clients would get charged a couple $1,000 for, maybe something like this, maybe like $4,000 or $5,000, depending on rates, of course, but maybe this takes a developer like 2-3 days, 8 hours a day, say $200 an hour, that's $4,800. So you can do this in 20 minutes with just a little bit of know-how. And yeah, I'll be making another video probably this week or this weekend or next week and cover more use cases similar to this.